Welcome. In front of me I have the brand new Pixel Fold from Google, obviously, and I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this phone. So anyway, let's just get straight into it. And we do have these little nice pull tabs right here, so we don't need to cut anything. Now, one thing that is interesting, Pixel decided to keep their device folded. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I believe almost every other device, foldable one, so like for instance this one, they come actually unfolded, which I was guessing previously that was due to the screen not liking extended periods of time where it's folded. But I'm just kind of guessing, and it looks like Pixel decided not to go with it, so I assume it has no difference. Let's turn it on. That device is a bit chunkier than I actually expected, and considering I've seen footages of it, it still seems bigger than it does on videos. Is there anything in here? Nope, just cardboard. Okay. So nothing in here. We get some Google manual. I think we all know how to use a phone, and we got a crappily folded cable. There we go. Fix it a bit. It's a Type-C to Type-C. Now for as much as this device costs, which is just a measly, $1,800. They decided to again, just like Samsung, opt out of giving you a charger for $1,800. Come on. Anyway, so here we have the device. One of the benefits right here, although I guess I can't say that it's a benefit considering Fold 5 now exists with also the without the gap. But previous to this, I believe this one came a little bit before the Pixel, not Pixel, what am I saying? Before the Fold 5, and prior to that, the Fold 4 had this annoying little gap between. As you can see, this is just completely shot flat, so that's pretty nice. Now opening it up, it doesn't open up all the way straight. I need to like literally force it to be flat. Anyway, let's get into the displays. So flip, please. Google, come on. There we go. So the display right here at the front is a 7.6 inch, or is that the inside? Let me just quickly try to figure out. Okay, so this one right here is a 5.8 inches, 1080p by 2092 pixels. It puts it at 800, what am I saying? 408 megapixels. Wow, it would be very good if I could actually think straight right now. Let's try that again. So 5.8 inches, 1080p by 2092, puts it at 408 pixels per inch with a brightness of 1200 nits, and it peaks at 1550. So the front display right here can get pretty bright. Now the inside one is a 7.6 inches. It boasts a resolution of 1840 by 2208, so it's still relatively a 1080p resolution, just at a weird aspect ratio. It also peaks at the same brightness, I presume, though it's not really stated right here. And pixel density is at 378 pixels per inch, give or take. So there we go, that's the inside display. Now, that being said, it is an OLED display, because I didn't mention, running at 120 Hz. Obviously supports HDR10 Plus, and oh no, never mind. I can see the brightness. It's 100 nits less bright at peak brightness than the outside one, so 1450. So there we go. Those are basically all the info. Now, I didn't mention, but the front one right here is also OLED with 120 Hz refresh rate, though for some reason it's just HDR, not HDR10 Plus. It's an OLED, so it should have it anyway. And the glass right here is a Corning Gorilla Glass Victus, and that's basically all the info for the displays. Now moving into the internals, we have a 4821 mAh battery, and it is a pretty decent battery size considering this device is foldable. And prior to, I believe, this one, the devices were like at barely 4000, I think. So this is closer to 5, and this is what you would expect from most of the devices, having something around 5000 mAh battery. So even though it's a foldable device, it still has a pretty good battery in here. So that should help with battery longevity, so you won't need to charge it as often. And going further down, we have Google Tensor G2 processor, and here that is powering this device with 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage, or 512, running on UFS 3.1 storage type. Now, for an $1,800 device, the UFS 3.1 is kind of like a middle finger. I would have expected 4.0. Like, come on, $1,800, released in 2023 May. It's already, the storage type has already been out for half a year, I presume, from that point on. So why didn't we get better storage type for the money that you get to fork out here? Beats me. Anyway, let's keep on going. When it comes down to the cameras, after all, it's a Google device. We do have a 48 megapixel wide sensor f1.7 25mm lens. It has a dual pixel PDAF, a laser autofocus, and optical image stabilization. Then we got a 10.8 megapixel f3.1 112mm telephoto lens. Also dual pixel PDAF, optical image stabilization, and 5 times optical zoom. And then below that we have a 10.8 megapixel f2.2 121 degrees ultra wide lens. And with those cameras, at least at the back, you can record at 4K 60 frames max, and obviously 30, 1080p, 3060, slow motion of 120 and 240, and 10-bit HDR. Now at the front, which I presume is this one, or this one, not exactly sure which one. So we have a 8 megapixel sensor. Let me just quickly try to figure it out. So so this, I believe, is an 8 megapixel sensor, though I could be wrong, and it can record at 1080p, 3060, and again slow motion of 120, 240. And then the cover camera, I believe, will be this one. And that is a 9.5 megapixels f2.2 24mm wide lens with or dual pixel PDAF. And this one can record at 4K 60, surprisingly. So there we go. Now these are all the cameras, and this is basically all the specs of the device. So a couple things that I'll go over as someone that has been using a foldable device. I'm actually gonna quickly go to the setup while I talk about it. Thank you for flipping. So the hinge right here seems to be pretty good. It does have a little bit of a kind of like roughness to it. It feels like something is scratching just a tiny bit. It is a first generation foldable device from Google, so it might not be the best, to be completely honest. Samsung's first one wasn't the best. I presume this one probably is also a little bit of a misstep. And a couple things that are a little bit of a weird design choice right here. Number one, they didn't do the teardrop kind of notch, so it does fold quite harshly. And because of that, it does have a pretty noticeable crease right here. As you can see, that is pretty noticeable. Just to compare it to the Fold 4, if I can clean the display off first, so it doesn't look absolutely disgusting. So here's Fold 4, and just to compare these two. So honestly, it seems like the Fold has even worse crease than the... Okay, it looks worse when the light is reflecting. In terms of under the finger feel, it's actually less noticeable. Now, like I mentioned before, the device, when you open it up, doesn't actually open up completely flat. As you can see, it has an angle to it for some reason. So I'll need to like literally just do this to force it open. Not the best kind of thing for a device for $1,800. In terms of the hinge right here, it does have similar hinge to what the Samsung does, so you can keep it at almost any angle, and as you can see, it won't fold shut. So it's pretty decent at that. So obviously you can just set it up kind of, for instance, like this, take photos with it and do all that stuff. Another cool things that I personally do with my devices when I'm, for instance, or my specific phone, when I'm checking out some YouTube videos in bed, I place it like this and in a kind of like a tent mode, just so I can view it, and it's just laying on my chest. That's a pretty neat thing. Obviously not worth $1,800, but still, you might as well use that when you can. Now, quickly going into one more thing, the bezels right here. As you can see, the front display is pretty good. No problems here. Let me just max out the brightness just so it's a little bit more visible. I guess it's not. Let's try to turn on the light mode so it is visible. Brightness, darkening. Bye-bye. So now you can see the actual bezels of the front display, and they're not bad, right? Now, if you open it up, you will have a little bit more bezels. So you can see we have pretty decent bezel at the top and at the bottom. And honestly, for a device at $1,800, I consider this to be a kind of a big no-no. Just to compare this to a Fold, you can see the difference in bezels. And the reason I'm comparing these two devices is because technically, I believe the Fold will be faster than this device. The only aspect that this phone wins at is, I guess, has a bigger battery, and most likely the camera department. It is Google, so even probably they included lower megapixel cameras, they will still produce better photos, presumably. I haven't tested it out, so take that with a grain of salt. But obviously it's Google, and most people buy pixels for the stock Android, which obviously you still have here, and the cameras, which looks like you still have here. So that's the primary difference. Now, I will say the cover display right here looks really nice because it is pretty big. So I could comfortably start typing on here without much problem. Something that when you start doing on this little remote control almost width, it does feel odd. So this is a good improvement, but then when you open it up, that's kind of where it just feels like a lesser product with the bezels at the top and the bottom. Now, benefit is you do have stock Android, which Google does, polish their Android, so it should work pretty well. Out of curiosity, do we have here? Yes, we do. So we do have also the dock, which is something that comes with Android, and it also is present on the Fold. But if you install a third-party launcher on a Fold, you lose access to it because either you use our launcher or you're not going to be using the dock. That's basically Samsung's logic, and it's absolutely infuriating. Now, I presume here it should work no problem. It is Android, so they don't tend to do this kind of crap, but I guess it will be seen later on once I actually install a launcher and check it out. So, in general, I like the device. I am a bit of a fan of foldable devices. I like the idea of having a bigger canvas when I need it and a smaller device when I don't. The hinge right here and the overall design right here feels really nice, looks nice. So no complaints there. And the complaints that I have for the price is the inside. The display right there just feels like a first generation, kind of like a almost a test product, and I don't really like that kind of thing. So that's a big minus for me, and it is a Pixel, so it comes with all the benefits of a Pixel, but in terms of raw power, it's going to be losing against the same priced now Fold 5. So I probably, even though I don't really like Samsung foldables that much, it is one of the almost only devices that you can pick up in Europe. So you either have a choice between Xiaomi, you have choice between Samsung or now Pixel. And to be honest, even though I don't like the Samsung approach, I probably would still pick that one over the Pixel because they are at the exact same price, and I feel like Samsung just has a, well, number one, more experience in making foldable devices, that's for certain. And it feels like their device, at least the inside of it, is a little bit more polished compared to this one. And that's the only thing that I'm really basing it on. As a person that will be using the device, I like to have the device look and feel nice. Something that this device, at least internally, fails at. It just feels, the inside looks kind of bad in my opinion. With the big hinges, or hinges visible right here, bezels all around pretty big, and this crease when a light shines is just egregious. And one thing that I'll point out, when the light starts shining on your crease, when you're, for instance, outside, sun reflecting from it, oh boy, is it hard to miss. So yeah, that's pretty annoying aspect. And for the most part, when you have a crease, if you're in somehow reflecting sun, no matter how you position it, unless you just flip it over, you're going to be always reflecting that sun because of the crease. So pretty annoying. But other than that, it seems to be pretty decent device. It's just probably not for me. Last little kind of thought right here. I think the market for foldables still has pretty decent room for improvement. After all, most of the devices are always lacking in something. They're not lacking in a price range, but they are lacking in better cameras and better battery life and a lot of different things that at the half of the price you basically get from other devices. So if you already have a foldable devices, if it's not like the first Samsung foldable devices or the second one, I would urge you to maybe just hold on to it if you can and wait for something that will significantly be improved, or basically when it comes out it's going to be significantly better than what came before it. And right now I just feel like the folding market is stagnating because for the most part Samsung doesn't have competition, and they just keep producing the same garbage. So I am personally waiting for a device that will be significantly better than anything that has been out on the market so far, at which point I'll probably upgrade to that. But at the moment, this just feels like not an upgrade. It just feels like just a different flavor of a folding device. I might be a bit off on it. After all, it really depends what you're looking for. And if you really like this device, then by all means go for it. I did state that before. I'm looking at this device from a perspective of me and if this device would fit my needs. And I believe that even though I like the form factor, I don't think it would fulfill what I'm looking for exactly. So I'm still going to be staying with my device. Anyway, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.